Buying a used bike is riskier than you think. In this episode, we're tearing down this Ninja 400 engine. Let's take a look inside. The owner bought it, rode it for just a few miles, and it died. It's a classic case, everything seemed perfect during inspection. But it didn't last long after the purchase. The exterior of this engine looks fine at first glance. But this clutch here is no longer the original one. These springs have been stiffened. It's a mechanical aftermarket clutch. With the stock clutch, improper operation can easily burn the plates. Anyway, I haven't experienced it myself, because I already sold mine. Now, here's the problem. Look at this spot. This bolt is missing. And they just patched it up with sealant. How is a buyer supposed to spot this? Can you really dismantle someone's engine before buying? That's just not realistic, is it? It's clear that during a previous teardown, they snapped this bolt off. It's broken inside, and instead of extracting it, they just covered it up with sealant. Without this bolt, the seal of the oil pump is directly compromised. It's a bit hard to film, but the oil pump side has already started to gap. This leads to a drop in oil pressure. Insufficient oil pressure is absolutely fatal for an engine. So, if you see the oil pressure light come on, pay close attention. Now let's look at the cylinder head cover gasket. It's already broken here. Hidden internal issues like these, within the engine, are very hard to detect when buying used. That's why when buying second-hand, I recommend going to a reputable used bike shop, or a friend whose history you know well. Never just chase the lowest price. In my experience, even if you don't go cheap, you might still get scammed. But if you go too cheap, you definitely will. The engine is the most critical part of a used bike. You must observe it very carefully. The camshaft shows no significant wear, just some normal signs of use. It's still functional. Replacing clutch plates doesn't affect the engine much. But once a major overhaul is involved, many unknowns arise. Some people can ruin an entire engine just by changing a gasket. Like that CF Moto I took apart before. I saw the cylinder head had letterpress printing on it. The markings from the spark plug were stamped right onto it. Look at this, guys. See if those are marks from the spark plug. What does it mean when the plug hits the head? It means severe bearing failure. Luckily, this spark plug doesn't look too bad. Now let's look at the cylinder block. It's an original ceramic coated cylinder. See how the surface shines? The crosshatch marks are clearly visible. Right here, the wear is a bit more obvious. But the honing marks aren't broken. It's still usable. If this were an iron sleeve, it would have scored long ago. Ceramic cylinders are incredibly wear resistant. Also, I have a personal doubt. There are several motorcycle inspection agencies now, right? The ones where you pay to check a used bike's condition. For a situation like this with the engine, how exactly do you inspect it? If you tear it down, I feel that as a user, it might be hard to accept. If it turns out the engine had never been opened before, doesn't your inspection now mean it has been opened? Opening it affects the resale value due to depreciation. But if you don't open it, certain issues will never be found. So, I have serious questions about this. Let's look at the oil pan. This crankshaft must have been repaired before, because this engine uses copper bearings. Normally, these debris fragments should be copper. But as you just saw, they are all silver. It's all aluminum debris. That means it was likely fitted with aluminum bearings previously. Basically, this engine has had a major overhaul. Look, the debris inside is also aluminum. No copper flakes at all. Therefore, it's almost certain this crankshaft was repaired once. Because the bearings used during the crank grind were aluminum. And after a crank repair like that, the engine's lifespan is significantly shortened. Look at the color of this connecting rod, it's burnt black. This one is also discolored. Now let's remove the connecting rods. Check out the rod bearings. Take a look at the bearing for cylinder 1. The copper layer is severely exposed. The copper isn't even fully worn yet. The rod is also discolored. The inner diameter is likely out of round. Now look at cylinder 2. Cylinder 2 is even worse. The connecting rod is completely trashed. Scored all the way like that. Look at the bearing shells. This scoring is incredibly severe. If these were copper bearings, the copper debris would be very obvious. But as you all saw earlier, there was hardly any copper debris. Half of the bearing is even stuck to the crankshaft. Had to pry it off. Man, if the owner saw these bearings, imagine how heartbroken they'd be. Now for the crankshaft. Needless to say, the scoring here is extremely deep. Let's check the main shaft and countershaft. Then let's check the crankshaft for runout. To check runout, remove the center bearing shells. Then set up the dial gauge. Usually, severe bearing failure causes the crank to warp. Okay, let's look at the crankshaft runout. The deformation is 0.09 millimeters. A new crankshaft typically has 0 runout. Or maybe 0.01 millimeters. Within 0.03 millimeters is considered perfect. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, give us a like.